Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. I am Sean Garvey.
DJ
Make sure
Rollo.
you listen to us on all your social media at Beat Break Radio. Follow us on all your social media, rather, at Beat Break Radio. Don't forget to download the Podcast FM app to your smartphone device, your tablet, your iPhone, and your Android. We got some guests that are on the show with us this morning. Also, shout out to our lovely Diamond Love, who should be joining with us momentarily. All right, make sure you check out the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast in syndication. We are also on the Thinking Out Loud Network. ThinkingOutLoudNetwork.com is the website. You can also check us out on BeatBreakRadioFM.com. You can download the app from there and from wherever platforms you get your apps from. And I am so happy to say that we finally got him in the house. He's back in the house. He's back in the house. DJ Rollo.
Yes, I have returned.
Yes, a survivor of COVID-19.
Yes.
Yes, you have been in and out of quarantine.
In and out of quarantine,
Since
in and out of
2020.
bed, in and out of coughing. Yeah.
Nobody does not want that.
Nobody, no, man. Nah. I'm a firm believer of not giving out negative vibes. So I am glad to be here, and I do not wish that on anybody and whatnot. I know some folks in my family said that they wish certain folks get it, but they don't need to die from it just because of how it works. Just when get a little sick.
Now wait a minute. Hold on. And when you say that someone said they wish certain folks would get it, who are those certain folks?
Yeah.
Who are they?
My mother.
Oh no, sir.
She wished the former president had it.
I was just
symptoms.
I was just gonna say that, but I didn't want to because I don't even want to wish that on our former president, on Orange 45. I didn't want to do that.
Orange 45. She wanted him to feel the symptoms like the way I felt it.
Oh wow. That's revenge.
Yeah.
But hey, man, we are so glad that you are healthy and alive. You got tested negative recently.
Yes.
So that is a great thing.
Yes, it is.
And you're doing all that you need to do and that you have to do to survive it. And let me just say, I want to send all of my thanks and gratitude to everybody that have kept you and your son Sean in prayers, in their thoughts and in your prayers, man.
I really appreciate it.
COVID-19 is no joke.
No, it isn't.
No, it isn't, man. That's why we got these two great guests on the live line with us this morning. But before we get into that, man, it is March. It is officially March Madness all over the place with this COVID-19 and stuff. But when I talk about March Madness, I'm also talking about the basketball game, All-Star Weekend, and all the things in between, all things considered basketball, man. I am not a basketball guy, even though I played in the, you thought I was going to say NBA, huh? I played in recreational basketball in the past. But no, man, you looking forward to March Madness, the NBA season?
I'm not really following him like that. I'm not a true basketball fan, but I do follow a little bit of what's happening and whatnot. College is definitely, I don't really follow. I just wait till the tournament starts and whatnot and see what happens and all that. And the NBA, I like a couple teams and whatnot. I like to see what's going to happen because it got very interesting what's happening in the past couple of weeks. So I'm like, okay, but I'm sorry for our home team, Atlanta Hawks. We'll see, man, because it's like the Falcons. We have the talent, but we can't finish games. So
yeah, I mean, we went to the football game together, me and you, DJ Rollum, a few weeks ago when it was
Right.
the Buccaneers versus who was it? Was it the Chiefs?
No, it was the Buccaneers.
It was the
The same
Buccaneers.
team
Right.
that beat us won the Super Bowl. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, man. Had a great time. But I don't see myself going to any Hawks games this year, or not Hawks games, but
that's
any
inside.
basketball games. Not any basketball games this year. Not
I ain't going
no,
inside for
sir.
that.
No, sir.
Man, it ain't as big as the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and everything. So nah, that's more closed in. So that's a no for me.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. I feel you. Also, in the month of March, you have to change your clocks again, of course. Some of us don't like that.
Yeah, we gotta lose sleep.
We gotta lose sleep. But believe it or not, DJ Rollum, there is a bill that was just passed recently by the Georgia Senate to stop the changes. State Senator Ben Watson of District 1, who's also a physician, says we all know it does a number on our body's sleep cycles, mood, and even increased risk of heart attacks. And he wants these changes to stop expeditiously.
The bill passed?
No, it has just been passed. But it has just been passed. But Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia, he has to sign it, and he has not signed the bill yet.
He ain't gonna sign it. He ain't gonna sign it. You can't stop one state because of what your opinion is. You can't stop it. So what are you gonna do? If it ain't a federal thing, what the heck is a one state gonna do something about it?
Yeah.
So I ignore that.
Well, hey, I still need sleep. I feel like I'm at the point right now. I'm 37, DJ Rollum. I feel like I need more than 8 hours of sleep. I need 10 hours of sleep. The job that I do, I work 7 days a week, and I work 9 jobs, which is causing me to have anywhere from 4 to 6 hours of sleep.
Did you say 9 jobs?
I have 9 jobs.
So you are Jamaican,
including this one
times 3.
Oh Lord.
You said 9 jobs. I'm like, oh man. Remind me of In Living Color.
I did not want to say that. I'm not gonna co-sign that. So we're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna keep it moving, ladies and gentlemen. I got some great guests on the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. And on this morning show, we're going to talk about COVID, cancer, and chaos, the 3 C's. And I just felt like DJ Rollum is very important that we talk about these things because I can't speak for everyone that's on the platform this morning, but I know that COVID and cancer has hit home to me, and I know it has hit home to you as well, especially you just recovering from COVID-19. And then, of course, last year, we lost our dear friend and our sister signature phrase to cancer. So here to talk about it and give some expert advice and information, I first want to introduce this man right here, this man of God. He is also a certified doctor, works in the medical field. He's just an amazing man. I had an opportunity to work with him on WLK show, Wanderlin Stokes, On Point with Wanderlin Stokes. You can check him out on Mondays. He does a segment called Medical Mondays from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Wanderlin Stokes on News and Talk 1380 WAOK. And I'm going to take the mic over to him so he can give us some background history on himself. Dr. Geoffrey is on the live line. Good morning, Dr. Geoffrey. Varner, how you doing, sir?
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me on your show today. I am excited.
We are all excited. How do you feel about me getting 10 hours of sleep? Do you think that's too much for me, especially at my age in my life, Dr. Geoffrey?
Well, I'm not sure how old you are, but you look pretty young. But let me also say that I am a board certified ER doctor. I'm not a sleep doctor. I'm not a primary care doctor. So I probably don't have much insight and much input on what's a good amount of sleep. But 10 hours of sleep, that you're sleeping pretty well with 10 hours of sleep. pretty well.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, this is why we got the doctor on here, man. He knows what's best for me, so that's what it is. And also on the live line with us this morning, right here on the Beat Break Morning Show, it was only fair, DJ Roland, that I bring this gentleman back on. He became a YouTube sensation since last year. I know some of us don't like the term YouTube sensation, but he has made a lot of views and a lot of hits on this video where he practices steam therapy. And I said this on the last podcast that I did with you, Roland, that steam therapy has been one of the most essential things that have saved my immune system. It has helped me a lot by using this during the pandemic since last year. And I wanted to bring this guy on for a reason. And I'll get into that reason in just a few moments. But let's bring this gentleman on as well. I call him King Yana, but he is known as Rasa Yana on the telephone lines. What's up? Good morning.
Hello, good morning, good morning. It's good to be here, good to be here. I'm very
Peace
honored
and
to
blessings.
be amongst the greatness.
Thank you. Thank you. And I know you have your queen with you. I just want to brief people on the backstory of why we wanted to bring you on to the Beat Break Morning Show podcast again. Now, last year in August 2020, we had you on and we had some technical difficulties with the audio.
Yeah.
People that know how this works in radio and in podcasting, sometimes stuff happens and what have you, to where we have to go in post-production and tweak some things out and what have you. But it was a very special episode, but it was also a very bittersweet episode, because that same night we pre-recorded the interview with you and the Queen. That was the same night that we got breaking news that actor Chadwick Boseman passed away from what was it? What type of cancer was it? Colon cancer.
Oh, okay. I thought
It
it
was
was
colon
pancreatic cancer, but I don't know. I know it was some type of cancer.
It
No,
was colon
actually,
cancer.
it was colon cancer. It was definitely
Colon cancer.
Oh, it was colon cancer. Okay.
Yeah. And I told our audience months later that we were going to air that missing interview with you and the Queen. But I talked to you offline before the airing of this podcast, and I said, "Hey, King Rasa, I don't know if I want to air this episode, because it's a certain type of stigma that attaches to me when we got that news story during the taping of the show. But I wanted to give you another opportunity to come on and to give your insight on COVID and cancer, and what we can do to survive this chaos and stay healthy and keep our immune system boosted." So I really am appreciative that you
Thank
took
you.
the liberty and took time out of your busy schedule to come on.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. So COVID, cancer, and chaos, we've seen it play such a huge factor in everyday lives. It has changed the way we look at things, the way we look at life. We've seen COVID. Let's talk about COVID. I want to go from COVID and then cancer in just a few moments. But COVID has changed a lot of lives. It has really made us look at things a whole lot differently. And in the midst of things, it caused even more chaos in our society and caused a lot of businesses to go under. And because of COVID, we're doing this here from home. We are not in the studio where we were used to producing live shows of the Beat Break Morning Show. To this very day, we are still practicing social distancing. Fast forward to now, there's the amount of vaccines that are being distributed to people that are in need of the vaccines. However, there are people that are very skeptical, Dr. Geoffrey and King Rasa, about getting the vaccine. We have had guests on the podcast that said, "No, I am not getting the vaccine. Absolutely not." I want to go over to Dr. Geoffrey first and foremost and ask him, as a medical professional, how did COVID-19 change your career or change the way you do things as a medical professional?
That's an interesting question, but let me just back up a little bit.
Sure.
I'm a crisis and split-second decisions expert, as well as an ER doctor who is truly on the front lines. I'm not somebody who's just talking about it. When I go to work, I see COVID patients. And just so everyone understands the lens of how I view the world, I am a Hampton University graduate. Everybody relax. That's right. That's right. Hampton University graduate. Well, there you go, my man. As well as a member
HBCU.
Yeah.
there we go. As well as a member of Alpha Phi Alpha and a former NAACP president.
All right.
So I view the world through a different lens. Most shows they introduce me leading with my Harvard graduate studies, but I'm a Hampton man first. Now let's talk about COVID. And actually,
Sure.
I want to go back to the comment that you just talked about this vaccine and people getting on and saying that they shouldn't get the vaccine. Well, let me just say just up front, I don't have any stock in any company, but I talk to about 1 to 2 million people a week on the different shows and the different platforms. And so whenever someone says that, I always say, well, what is your evidence about why you shouldn't take it? And often I get a lot of theories and hearsay and so on and so on. And I don't want to be too long, so I'm going to make my point later. But what I will say is, we know that if you contract COVID right now today, you can be dead within 14 days. If you take this vaccine, it's going to keep you alive. Not one person in the trial, in any of the 3 trials, who took the vaccine died from the vaccine. Not one person. So what that says is that technically the vaccines are 100% effective against death. Now, someone's going to say, well, what about the long-term side effects? It's true. No one in the world can tell you about the long-term side effects because it's only been around for a year. So long-term meaning a year, 2 years, or 3 years, then no one can tell you that. But what I do know is that you would, by taking the vaccine, let's say there's something the matter with it that no one knows about. You got 2 or 3 years to figure it out. You get COVID, you got about 14 days, maybe 17 days to figure it out, and you can possibly have a negative outcome. But thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Absolutely. Now let me go ahead and go over to Rasa, Yana. You specialize more so in herbal remedies, home remedies, and things of that sort. What is your thoughts? What is your take on the vaccines?
I don't have a take on the vaccine. I'm not a vaccine professional. I deal with knowledge, and I deal with, I come from an indigenous perspective, meaning that most of the medicines that we used in my culture, we didn't have doctors, okay? We came from the bush, and many of the traditional medicines that we use is all we had. So we learned how to use herbs, plants, things of that nature to enhance the body with whatever the body needs to strengthen itself. So that's kind of my approach. I'm not against vaccines or for vaccines. I think that if you're whatever you're gonna do to your body medically, you should have the knowledge. You shouldn't go off of hearsay. You shouldn't speak out of ignorance. So I say, I don't know what is in the COVID vaccine, so I can't speak for or against it. I would have to have the knowledge to know, hey, this is what's in it. This is what it's doing. I go more off of what like the doctor said, he goes off of his experience, what he's dealing with every day, what's in front of him. All I know is I got sick, which I believe to be COVID. And several people around me got sick, had breathing difficulties. And I used what I knew traditionally regarding to enhancing oxygen. We know oxygen alkalines the body by doing what's known as the traditional citrus steam therapy. And like I said, I don't know if I'm not an asymptomatic person. I'm in pretty good health. I don't know if that was the factor. All I know is there was a tremendous amount of improvement regarding me activating, let's say, my immune system. Lots of natural vitamins and minerals, the kind that we, things that are going to give us the energy. So my approach is, a lot of people think because I approach things from an indigenous perspective that I'm one of those theory people. I'm not into theories. I'm into what works. And what worked for me was enhancing my immune system, high amounts of vitamin C, as well as a lot of breathing exercises. There's a tremendous amount of knowledge to be learned in breathing. And we know now that there's enough scientific studies to know that there's things that are being done. Studies are being written now as we speak regarding the autonomic system and how a person can actually control their immune system. So I'm a little different. I'm probably not very common. Most people who are into herbs, they're not into traditional medicine, but we know, and the good doctor will be able to probably tell you that all medicine started from herbology. All medicine started from botanists, and that's kind of just my approach.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if people are going to want to take the COVID and they have the knowledge and they have the confidence, they should do it. I think if a person doesn't feel comfortable, they also have that right. But I don't think it should be based on ignorance and fear. It should be based on what do you know? I don't work for Moderna. I don't work for Pfizer. I wasn't there with BioNTech and the people who made these things. I don't know what's in it. I would like to see the FDA report. That's what I would like to see. You know, I would like to see what the actual study said before I become a person who's for or against it. I think right now I'm not in that position. I'm kind of in a position where my medicine is my food. I'm almost 60 years old. I look about 37, and I have a pretty good system, a pretty good human system. I understand homeostasis. I understand those limitations, and a lot of people think it's just a vaccine, but I got to tell you, beyond vaccines, you have your human system, and a lot of people, even with a vaccine, you still can have other issues that's not related to COVID. You know, it's all about what condition your body is in, what is your immune system like, and I think that's pretty much how I would approach it.
Mm-hmm. I want to circle back to something that you just said, King Rasa, a few moments ago, when you said that I don't know what's in it. And
No.
I think that's the problem with people who are hesitant on getting the vaccine. They say, or they in their minds think, well, I don't know what's in it. If they're not telling us what's in it, then why should I get the vaccine? But like you said, it's all about doing the research and finding out what is in the vaccine. But there's also other people that has said that, well, you know, it goes back to the Tuskegee experiment. And DJ Roland, we had those kind of conversations online and offline about it, about the history of the Tuskegee experiment and how the people in that particular profession or field was, what their agenda was by putting all this chemical dangerous stuff into Black bodies. And then fast forward to now, they just think that, oh, it's going to be the same thing as the Tuskegee experiment. So question for Dr. Geoffrey. Dr. Geoffrey, have you been hearing that? Have you been hearing people say, well, it's going to be like another Tuskegee experiment? And when you hear that, how does that make you feel? And how do you approach that as a doctor?
First of all, let me commend my brother, Rasa. I don't think he said anything that I disagree with. So love your thinking, brother. It was very broad and it was very on. And I love what you said about, hey, if you got questions, read up on it.
Right.
Now, as it relates to this Tuskegee experiment, in full disclosure, I am someone who is a huge advocate of the vaccine, but I approach it from a different lens. Meaning, again, when you come, I'm the one who like takes care of you when you come to the ER. And every time I take care of a COVID positive patient or my staff, it puts us at personal risk. So I have a different lens and a different bias. Let's talk about this Tuskegee experiment, because I think it's being overemphasized and overused. Here's why. People talk about they don't want to take the vaccine because of the Tuskegee experiment, which every single time I ask them, they really don't know the nuances to it, but that's okay. That's what we can touch. That's what we can put our hands on. What they really want to say is, I don't trust the vaccine because of how the medical establishments treats me today. When I go into the hospital today, yesterday, a few days ago, a few weeks ago, how they look at me, how they make me wait longer, how they don't give us the same amount of pain medicine. And that's been proven in scientific studies. So that's what they're really saying. So on behalf of the medical establishment, let me apologize for that because we do treat you all. When I say you all can't see me, but I'm a good dark black brother, and y'all say I'm a doctor. But when people pull me over, when people see me, I just don't have doctor written on my left forehead. So I go through the same experiences. So again, I apologize for how we treat you, but we are in a crisis, and your man is a crisis expert. So I would encourage you to think outside the box. And you want to know what's in the vaccine, I would challenge you to say you're using that as an excuse. Let me prove it to you. What is in your blood pressure medicine? What is in the Motrin or Tylenol that you're taking? Right. What's in your flu vaccine? You don't know those questions. So now all of a sudden you've got this question about what's in the vaccine. While that's a valid question, you can look it up, but I knew I was coming today, so I got something for you. Let me read to you what's in it. Here you go. You got hydroxybutyl oxidide hexane 6156 bisylate. You got N-dietrotetraacetaminophen 126 diasterol. You got glycerol 3-phosphate potassium chloride 4679 bistate. You got monobasic potassium phosphate and sodium chloride. Let me just assure you all, if you got 100 doctors, 100 of us will not know what that means. What is my point? I'm not sure if it even helps you to look up what's in it. It is just so complicated. The real question is, here's the real question. It's real simple. Do you trust science or do you not trust science? It's as simple as that. We are in a crisis. Do you trust science and do you not trust science? If you say you don't trust science, then I'm taking you're not taking any blood pressure medicine. If you get sick, you're not coming to the ER because all that is science. I would just encourage people that while we've done you wrong, and I apologize, this is the time that I would encourage you. I would highly encourage you, especially with these new strains, to trust science.
Trust science. Okay. It seems like we lost Yana for a moment. Hopefully he'll be back on, but let's swing it over to you, DJ Roland. I know based on your facial expression, I know you ready to go in.
My mother got her PhD in biology, and she is a firm believer of science, and she knows that she was going to take the vaccine. Actually, she already taken the first part already. She will be taking the second part this month, and she's looking forward to that. And because of her age, and she has other problems, and she is a former breast cancer patient, and she currently has dementia and whatnot. What's frustrating her when she hears about it from the media about why people don't want to take it, and you said, well, you must be uneducated. And I told her, no, it's not just uneducated. They don't see enough information out there. That's what's the fear. The fear is not knowing. And that's the key thing, is not knowing. And if you investigate what you can, the doctor just gave us some of the ingredients of the vaccine. And he said too that 100 doctors wouldn't even know those ingredients. So the thing about it is then some other folks, a small percentage of other folks will say, well, why we don't have a cure for the common cold? Why we don't have cures for other diseases and whatnot? So why we have this? And I'm like, well, what I would say to them is, those other diseases and sicknesses that are out there, is it killing a mass number of folks worldwide, which is not killing them at a mass amount. It's killing them individually, depending on if you got it from a gene, you happen to just came up on it, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it just happens and whatnot. I was being protected myself when I caught the COVID and whatnot. It just slipped on me. I didn't know I had it. And I was around my mother when I really did had it. And I'm glad she didn't get it and whatnot. Because when I first having symptoms, I thought it was the flu. Because when I had flu in the past, the first thing that starts messing with me is my back. My back was getting on me. Then I'm like, okay, let me just take some Advil, boom. All right, I feel a little bit better. Then I saw my mother. So I still possibly could have had, I know I probably did had it, and I was around her. She still didn't get it. And then I felt bad a couple of days later, really bad. I really had one bad breathing day and whatnot. And then I said, let me go ahead and get myself tested. And I was considered positive. So, and I was around my mother. And that's what kept me in mind, like getting very scared, like, dang, does she have it? And I basically kept my distance and whatnot. And then that's when Sean took care of business and whatnot and went from there. So I'm not gonna get into all that. But the thing about it is having basic knowledge. You're not going to know all these long-term effects. Even when you get radiation and all that stuff, you don't know what's going to happen afterwards. You don't know, like I never had the flu shot. I never had the flu shot, knock on wood. And then I had, the symptoms of the COVID because it's because of the similarities of the disease itself. So that's what a lot of folks didn't understand and whatnot. So I still currently never did have the flu. Would I take the flu shot in the future? More likely not, because I know what I've been doing. And would I take the COVID vaccine? Yeah, I would. I'm not taking the 2-shot one. I would like to take the Johnson & Johnson one because it's 1 shot and whatnot. Because how my life is, I don't need anything to slow me down. And to me, those 2 vaccines, because of what my mother has gone through and what some other folks have said, it slows them down. And I don't have time to slow down. So if there's a 1-shot deal I can take, then that's what I'll take. But at least I'm going to take it and whatnot. And some other folks, I'm going to even let my son get it and whatnot, because I don't trust folks out there of cleaning, social distancing, putting their mask on properly. That's the thing what was messing a lot of folks up. And that's how I probably got it, is that people are not wearing their mask properly. You have to cover your nose. Covering your mouth is only one part. You have to cover your nose. And they showed all different types of ways of how you can still contract it if you don't cover your nose. If you cover your nose is covered, there's a small chance you can still get it. I was around patients and they ain't have it all correctly. And that's exactly what I think where I got it from. I even quit that job because I don't want to deal with that no more. That is ridiculous and whatnot. I'm not saying anything bad about the doctor because he is definitely doing your thing and making sure that you're taking care of the patients and your co-workers and everything, make sure that they're doing what it's supposed to do. I can't do what they have, the medical professions have been doing, because I'm not that type of medical profession. I'm just in the medical field. Yeah. So with that being said, in my opinion, you should take the vaccine, but you can still do what our other guest has said. And I even use some of his remedies by taking the steam. I'm taking hot showers and all that. And I increase my immune system by taking up to 2,000 milligrams a day. And I've been going on that for a month. Vitamin C, 2,000 milligrams a day, one during the day and one to make sure it kicks in when I go to sleep at night, just to make sure. Now, if I have to do that for the rest of my life, I'll do that just to make sure that I'm doing good, because this is nothing to play around with. And for the people who are uneducated, wondering why there's not certain things, like there's no cure for the common cold and cancer and all that stuff. It's not killing masses. That's the thing they have not said. It's not killing the masses. And when something's killing the masses, that's when governments and the medical profession really kicks in and whatnot. But like HIV, AIDS, and all that, it's not a huge mass and whatnot compared to what the limited medical information was back during the Spanish flu or whatever it was back in the early 1900s. That's why they keep comparing it to, because it killed masses of folks. Huge numbers of folks were dying. Cancer does not kill masses, it kills individuals. AIDS kills individuals. That's what happens. So if it's not killing by the masses, that's the reason why, my opinion, it's just my opinion, why they put a big emphasis on the COVID vaccine.
Right. Wow. Speaking from a true COVID-19 survivor, DJ Roland, I got something to say, and then I'm going to switch it over to the doctor. Since COVID happened, since the pandemic happened, a lot of people that I knew said that I've done everything that the CDC has told me to. I have washed my hands. I take my hand sanitizer wherever I go. I put hand sensitizers on my hands. I put the mask on. There have even been times where I quarantined myself for 14 days. And that still wasn't enough to where I end up getting sick and end up getting tested positive for COVID-19. So Dr. Geoffrey, as we get ready to bring Rasa Yana back on, what is it that people are missing from this COVID-19, or what do you think they have done incorrectly to still get COVID-19 after they've done everything that the CDC told them to do? What also happened? What did they do incorrectly in your own facts or in your own opinion?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I like to approach it from a global perspective again. Everyone just needs to be very clear. Outside of a human host, there is no COVID, meaning that COVID it's not airborne the way we've thought about it traditionally, meaning it can exist in the environment without a human. So let's rid ourselves of that. If you go outside and there's no one outside, you're not going to contract COVID. Now, people are going to say, well, but I've heard it was airborne. Well, what you heard is that people keep mixing the terms airborne and aerosolized. People keep mixing them because the media has mixed them. But aerosolized simply means it was ejected from the human. Now, is it true that you can be in a room, someone with that COVID sneeze, and that virus linger in that room for like several hours, those small particles? Yes. If that room is not well ventilated, yes, that particle, those virus particles can linger for like several hours. Now, as it relates to your original question, if you have followed the CDC guidelines and if you have home quarantine and not been around anybody with COVID, I will assure you, you have not contracted COVID. Now, it is the case that you can be around someone with COVID, and because there are different mask types, and for a few other different reasons, you can still contract COVID. A prime example, say you have on a gator mask. Those masks have been shown to be almost completely close to useless. It's better than having nothing, but if you have on a gator mask, you would put forth, Dr. Geoffrey, I had on everything. Well, you kind of did, but the quality of what you had on. I would just encourage people that for those people who thought that they did everything and they contracted COVID, congratulations, you are alive. For those people who have not, I would encourage you to make sure this is one of those times you want to have the best gear, the best mask, the best hand sanitizer, the best gloves, and quarantine, isolate, stay away from like people as much as possible, especially given that these new strains have been shown to be 55% more contagious and about 35% more lethal.
Wow. That's interesting. Now, we got Rasa Yana back on the line. And like I stated earlier, I have taken the liberty of doing this particular thing that he suggested to his followers on YouTube. But let me just take a moment to go back to 2019, before the pandemic really hit us hard in 2020. 2019, November and December, I got sick back to back. November and December now. I was sick, I was coughing, I was sneezing. I had running eyes, running tears coming from my eyes, and I was sick back to back. And I ran that course. I took all the medicines that I needed to take, and a few days later, I felt fine. And then December comes, I get sick again. The same thing, coughing, sneezing, aching body parts, and I just wasn't feeling well to the point where I couldn't go to work. I had to stay home. Took the medicines, took everything that I needed to take, and then I was okay. Now, fast forward to 2020, the pandemic hits. Okay, I wear the mask, I put on my hand sanitizers, I wash my hands. And then this video came along that I saw on social media where there's this guy sitting, or not even sitting, but standing in the kitchen, and he is making steam therapy. He's putting orange peels in the pot of boiling water. He's putting elderberry. He's putting all these stuff in here. And I was like, okay, I know I cannot only just rely on wearing a mask and putting hand sanitizers on and washing hands and doing all this social distancing stuff to prevent from getting COVID. I need to take it up a notch. So I took it. I started doing the steam therapy. But what I also needed to do was I needed to take my vitamin C and my vitamin D and elderberry to boost my immune system even more. And even before COVID and before I got sick, I wasn't taking no vitamins. Believe it or not, I stopped taking vitamins a long time ago. And I just now started taking vitamins a few months ago, of course. And I have not gotten sick, especially during the pandemic. I have not had any body aches. I have not sneezed. I mean, of course, I sneeze here and there, but it wasn't like ongoing. You know what I mean? I wasn't coughing or anything, and I felt even more better before the pandemic. So Rasa, Yana, I want to ask you, man, like, what was it that made you put that video of you standing in front of a stove of an oven? You take a pot, you put boiling water in there, and you say, you know what, I'm just going to do this because I'm trying to help people during this crisis. Like, what was it that made you put together that video and introduce that to thousands and thousands of your followers?
I got sick. There was no other answers. We didn't have the luxury of having a beautiful doctor to talk to give a wealth of knowledge. We didn't have any of that. We just had quarantine and terror. And there was a time where we were enslaved. There's a time where people been through many things, and we didn't have access to things. There's something about wanting to live as a human being that will make you go into yourself and find ways to try to survive. And what I attempted to do, it worked enough for me, right? I got the benefit, and the people that I did help, they got the benefit. I found out later on what the science was behind it, why I was getting so much success later. But prior to that, it was more or less just instinctive. There's an instinct in us. All mammals have instincts. Humans kind of lost the instincts. We lost our instinct probably around our baby stages when we learn how to walk. Most of the stuff we know now, people have to teach us. We've kind of lost that innate ability to observe things. That's what science is. It's about observing things and being able to see what works and what doesn't work based on, trying different things. What I knew then was that based on the studies that were done regarding not just COVID, but pneumonia, we knew it was a respiratory infection. It causes respiratory infections. We knew that steam therapy was used in government studies in the 90s. They used steam therapy for respiratory related, infections is the word I want to use. And what they found in the studies, that the ones who did the steam seemed to have a faster recovery time. The science behind it was oxygen. With COVID, I'm sure the doc could tell you, the people that are dying of COVID, I'm sure people have different prognosis in regards to what is going to cause their sickness. But just from what I know, now being thrust into the middle of it, is that people develop what is close to like what you call all altitude sickness. Generally, when the body's not receiving oxygen, it produces more red blood cells. So we know that if you keep the airway clean and you make sure that you're taking full oxygen in your body, the oxygen is actually what enhances the immune system. And so I think what the breathing therapy did was that people weren't really breathing. And I believe that it opened up people's airway. And a lot of people who probably was just a lot of anxiety and a lot of other things, it allowed them to relax. And as we know, the mind affects the immune system. So if you're stressed out, that's affecting your immune system. There's hormones that are going to be released. So I just did what was natural as a means of survival. I'm thankful that it was helpful when there was nothing else. And like I said, we learn, we grow. The more we grow, the more we know. I've grown a lot since then to understand that all the studies that were done, that COVID was weakened very easily with dry heat. So there was some science there. Maybe topically, maybe initially it may have strengthened some people's immune systems. I think that it's yet to be told. I think as this thing ends later on, maybe, who knows, maybe they'll do some studies on that to find out why so many people feel as if that therapy helped them recover or help them to build their immune system, so to speak. But I'm just thankful, that it did help. I'm here to be able to tell, and many people, thousands and thousands of people. I had calls from Wuhan during the COVID first came in. I got calls from people from Wuhan asking me about steam, and I was like, it's something that they did traditionally in many indigenous therapies, where they would cover up the people who were sick with different bush, and what was in these bush, different things that help anti-inflammation. If you know anything about COVID, it has different effects on different people. But what it did was I allowed the lungs to stay, from what I believe, it needs to be studied scientifically. I think they should do it to really find out what really happened, with this steam therapy. Why was so many people being helped the way they were being helped? They weren't supposed to, and something that was so simple ended up going so viral. And then we find out why. We found out that it was breathing. We found out a lot of people were low on oxygen. We found out later on, as we learned more about COVID, we realized that the oxygen wasn't even going into the cells. The oxygen was just, they were pumping people with oxygen, but it still wasn't depleting the amount of the red blood cells. From the feedback that I got from several other doctors that I spoke with, that seemed to be where things were with people in their blood. And then we go back to the diet. We go back to people having thick blood platelets. We go back to people's personal health, and understanding that people are expecting the vaccine to be some miracle, but the vaccine works along with your body and with your own immune system. So it has a lot to do with your immune system and how your body reacts to things that are foreign to your body. I just think it was just an oxygen enhancement. If the doctor's still on, I think in my own view of things, now that I know more, I think it was the oxygen intake that helped a lot of people kind of super abuse their immune system, give their immune system some boost with just getting that added oxygen they needed.
Okay. Yeah, the doctor is still on, and we want to give doctor a chance to either rebuttal or respond to that comment. Dr. Geoffrey, what do you have to say about that?
I mean, that was it wasn't just one comment that he said. It was a lot. And let me just say that there's a lot to medicine and science that we all do not understand. And if you look at it from a risk benefit point of view, steam treatment has very low risk. And and there may be science that comes up that supports that it actually treats and works. And when I say that, I'm not minimizing, but within the space of science, we have to prove that it works. And the way that we usually do that is through randomized controlled trials where we look at people who got it and people who didn't under the same conditions. And then based upon those studies, then we say whether or not it works or not. But I want to go back to this, to this COVID virus again. I just want to encourage people that however you feel about this thing, I would just encourage you that just keep in mind that we approached 500,000 deaths since even my man Rasa Yana's video has come out. 500,000 deaths, and we're on the year anniversary for when we first happened. So anything you can do to help decrease those deaths would be extremely helpful. Someone mentioned vitamin C. Just real quick, let me talk about vitamin C. And by the way, I was not into vitamins until COVID started to happen, and through all my lives and talks, I start till I read up. The one thing that has been proven in science by randomized control studies and even studies prior is that vitamin D can decrease your chance, the likelihood of you dying of COVID by 10 to 12 times. Here's why. This will make sense to you. I'm gonna make it really simple. The way COVID kills us, it causes an overreaction of our immune system. Bottom line, it's an overreaction of our immune system. It happens to take place in our lungs. But usually our immune system is regulated by vitamin D. It's on every single molecule. Call that the referee. So if there's no vitamin D, there's no referee, and it goes unregulated. I know. Follow me. I'm almost there. In America, 34% of people are vitamin D deficient. 82% of Black Americans are vitamin D deficient. 64% of older people are vitamin D deficient. What's my point? Who is it that COVID is most likely to impact? People of color and older people. Well, Dr. Geoffrey, what about this vitamin D? 90% of the vitamin D comes from the sun, but the darker you are, if you're a good dark-skinned brother like me, that includes me, the darker you are, the less efficient you are at converting sunlight to vitamin D on your skin. Also, the older you are of any color, because of the skin changes that go with age, the less efficient you are at converting sunlight to vitamin D. So therefore, you're more likely to be vitamin D deficient. And to bring it home, the studies are showing that if you start off vitamin D deficient, you are more likely to have a worse outcome. Now, by the way, this only applies to people who are vitamin D deficient. If you're vitamin D normal, similar to the immune system, there's no such thing, no matter what you read, of boosting your immune system above what is normal. So whatever your normal baseline is, there's no such thing as getting above that.
Mm-hmm. I happen to be a dark-skinned brother myself, and so is DJ Rollum. And I know for me, I take at least 2 vitamin Ds as well as zinc.
Okay, hold on. Let's
yeah, I take it.
Zinc is a good one, but how much vitamin D, brother? Come on now, bring it to me. Yeah, I didn't mean to catch you out there. My bad.
No,
so hold on.
No, you're good.
I'm sure you know because you take it. But in general, and by the way, nothing I say should be taken as medical advice. This is just for information purposes only. But Absolutely. In general, let me say this. Let me phrase it this way. Dr. Fauci, who's older, he takes 6,000 units of vitamin D a day. If you search 4 or 5 associations of new nutritionists and endocrinologists, you get a bunch of different dosages. In general, I found that they lie between 4,000 and 6,000 units per day. So I think that that's a reasonable amount. But talk to your primary care doctor before you begin over-the-counter vitamin D supplementation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I personally take vitamin D. I've been taking it for several months. And not several months. I've been taking it on a regular basis since December of 2020 when I went to get my physical. And she said to increase your vitamin D because just like what the doctor said, it was below, it was insufficient. And that's what I did. And I've been taking it. And I believe that helped me because my symptoms didn't last that long. I had maybe up to 4 days of being bad. That's where I was at from, I'll say that weekend to that Tuesday or Wednesday, that's when I really was bad. That next, going towards that next weekend, that's when I started feeling better and everything. So I'm like, okay, let me go and feel better. But I still could be contagious. That's why I still quarantine myself and everything. And just to make sure, I started to get my strength back. And once I got my strength back, then I started doing stuff like I normally have done to get it together. It took me, I guess, about really 2 weeks to get back to my really normal status. Once I got cleared, once I had a negative result, that's what happened with me. But definitely by the vitamin D. See, the thing about it is I was already taking vitamin C, but it wasn't enough milligrams. I was only taking 500. So now I'm averaging 2,000. So I increased it by 1,500 more. So I'm like, okay, that should definitely do it. I'm and you were saying to doctor, you were saying that asking Sean Garvey how many milligrams. I take up about 2,000 to 3,000, something like that. That's what the bottle says. So that's what I've been taking. Been taking it for a couple months. But I think, like the doctor said, that by having that in deficiency of the vitamin D, I increased it. So that's what really saved me from getting any worse. And just doing my normal stuff. I've been taking vitamins for years. It's just that I wasn't taking the right vitamins. I took other vitamins for other stuff, but I didn't take the right vitamins. And that's what people need to increase, at least in my opinion, increase the vitamin intake. Only thing I haven't started yet is the zinc one. I will be taking the zinc eventually, but I think by me doing what I'm doing now is pretty good. And once around the time I get the vaccine or just before the vaccine, I know I'll be taking zinc. Doctor, how many milligrams of zinc should you recommend for a person with my condition that I was a COVID survivor?
Well, it's funny you would ask me. Again, nothing I say should be taken as medical advice, just for information purposes only. 75 milligrams twice a day seems reasonable, and I will attach an official document that you all can like use, that it goes over the doses for the zinc, for the vitamin D. It goes over the preventive dosages, as well as it goes over the treatment dose, meaning that if you're home treating for COVID, because don't forget, 90% of us, if we get COVID, we will be 97% of us, if we get COVID, we will be treated at home. And just so you know, when I admit someone in the ER, when I admit someone to the hospital, those are some of the vitamins that we give them. And now, can we at least agree? We all agree that President Trump, when he was president, he had access to the best of healthcare in the world. Can we
absolutely
agree on that?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, because he's the president. He was the president.
So we agree on that.
Absolutely.
Do you know what he got his first day and his whole time there? He got zinc, vitamin D, melatonin, vitamin C, and vitamin B. So, I mean, he obviously got a few other things, but if the president of the free world, the most powerful in the man, if they are giving him that cocktail, then hey, it's something to think about. And I'm going to put in the chat where you all can use it. And if you want to post it on your site, you can post it on your site as well.
Okay.
We'll
definitely get that information. And Dr. Geoffrey, I know you got to go, but let me ask you in closing on your end. Okay, I take the vaccine. I get the vaccine. What's next? Do I still keep the mask on? Do I still need to follow the CDC guidelines? I've taken the vaccine. What's next?
So, all right, that is an absolutely incredible and wonderful question. Here's why. Well, let me answer the question, but let me add a few nuggets in there. Once you get vaccinated, after the first shot, you want to continue to quarantine. After the first shot, you want to continue to follow the CDC guidelines. After the second shot, you want to continue to follow the CDC guidelines. There are many different reasons for that, but this is where people get the shot and then they contract COVID and think it's related to the shot. People get the shot and then they think, oh, I'm good. I got some immunity. But people, once you get the shot, for at least 21 days, you don't even develop any antibodies. Your body is the same as someone who did not get the shot. It takes 21 days for you to even develop the antibodies. But even once you develop those antibodies, if you're in the 2-dose system, you're about 60 to 70% covered. And then the second shot gets you anywhere between 65 to 75 to 80, maybe. But whatever you do once vaccinated, I am someone who has been vaccinated. I would encourage, that the recommendation is to continue to follow the CDC guidelines.
Okay. All right. And we got the website, by the way, too. It's drgeoffrey.info/crisis kit. That's Dr. Geoffrey, and it's GEOFFREY.info/crisis kit to get more information. Dr. Geoffrey, I know you got to go. We definitely would love to have you come back on the show. We're getting into the next hour where we're going to talk about all things considered cancer. Hopefully we'll still have King, Rasa, Yana on the line. But thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come in. And I definitely will keep you posted and your people posted on where I'm at with the vitamin D and the zinc. And maybe there's some more information you would love to share with me offline, as we are still going through this crazy pandemic that we
absolutely
still are
and
in.
brothers, you all continue to do what you do. I am proud of you. And let me just add this one piece in there, if you don't mind, because I also have a bestseller from 2017. It's called Train Your Mind for a Split Second. Training Home Alive, 11 Steps for Surviving Encounters with the Police. This is not a book plug. I'm about to make a point. I've been in this police game for a moment. Let me just say this, that they're about to start the George Floyd trial. And everyone just needs to keep in mind that the number of police killings, after all those protests, after everybody involved, the number of police killings have not changed one bit. What's my point? Brothers, continue to be safe out there, continue to be vigilant, and continue to keep in mind, our goal is to make it home alive.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Dr. Geoffrey Varner, thank you so much. You be blessed and you be safe out there. And I want to say thank you to your people, Miss Malika Holloway, for bringing you and me together once again. It's been a minute since we talked on the phone over at WAOK, but much blessings to you.
All right, you be well.
All right, you too. Thank you. Once again, the website is drgeoffrey.info/crisis kit for more information. And hopefully we'll bring him back on the podcast. It's been a very interesting perspective on how we look at COVID and the things in between. You know, with DJ Rowland being a COVID-19 survivor, I know there's some changes that you are going to make physically to make sure that you do not contract the virus again, because COVID is a serious thing. It's still hitting home to a lot of people. I recently had a friend who got admitted to the hospital, and she not only contracted COVID-19, but she also had pneumonia. And I'm happy to let everyone know that she survived from both COVID-19 and pneumonia. So this is why we got to have these kind of platforms to share information, because we want people to be well. We want people to get well and be well and survive this thing, right, Roland?
Yeah, and I have to say this part too, that when we reached that back in February, the milestone of 500,000 folks and whatnot that's passed away from the COVID. Not only that, you may know, most folks these days, know at least one person that had it. I knew a few people that had it and throughout the country, but found out not too long ago that now it's very rare that, like I said, you might know someone who actually had it, but I also know that someone actually died from it. Someone I know that asked me to DJ their wedding this month, and she died last month. That really hurt. I'm like, she reached out to me last year and all that stuff, and I knew she was coming up with a wedding, and we ain't talked, but I found out that the mother, posted that her daughter was in the hospital with COVID and was on a ventilator. And I reached out to her a few weeks ago to see what's the status, because she hasn't posted anything, and how she, I ain't go on Facebook, but I did, because I had her number and all that stuff, to see how her daughter was doing. And he said no change. And then like a week later, she passed away. And that's the thing, man, is that it takes you, man, because like I said earlier, I only had small symptoms of it. I didn't have it really big. First thing people ask me, did you lose your sense of smell? No, I didn't lose my sense of smell, but I lost my appetite. I didn't feel like eating. I had to force myself to eat. So I was eating very, very small. And I was, I've been drinking water. I never stopped drinking water, but I increased the water. The only thing I increased was my vitamin intake. And just taking, and I had headaches, and just taking Advil. Those are two main things that help me: rest, vitamin C, and the vitamin D was already taken, and Advil because of my headaches. That was it. I was not prescribed anything there, or anything. And that's the thing that folks need to understand when, depending on your symptoms, you got to know your body. You have to know your body. Rasa Yana has said certain things, and I kept that in mind when he was saying that last year. I kept in mind those things he said to, like, let me try this to see if that will help me as well. So I did take, hot showers to make sure I inhaled the steam and whatnot, and drinking tea and things like that, just to get the steam going and help with my lungs, because that's what it really attacks, as the doctor has said earlier. It attacks the lungs. So that's what the things I was doing. So he said, the doctor said to still follow the CDC guidelines and whatnot. I plan on doing it. I already told my fiance what I plan on doing when I start doing events on a regular and whatnot, is to put up plastic shields on my table and whatnot. And then I'm going to put up a new website a new email, that if you want to request a song, you're going to go to, and it's not confirmed yet, but I'm going to have a new email saying DJ Rollum requests. She named that. So shouts out to my fiance who did that. That's why I'm marrying her.
Soon to be business partner.
Yeah. So just because I'm going to be protecting myself doing events and whatnot for next 2 or 3 years, because I don't trust nobody. I'm doing events. These are people, I don't know where you came from or what you have done, your beliefs, or whatever you do to take care of your body. You're not giving me anything. And I'm still going to have my mask on for the next couple of years, probably around, 24, maybe I may start taking it off, because when I do events, the mask is staying on. So that's it, man. I mean, you got to still protect yourself, because even though we may take care of ourselves, you and I, but you don't know when we get back into the studio. I hope that we still do the checking temps. We don't need to have anything personal, like have you taken the vaccine? No, we're just going to take your temps and whatnot, just to make sure and keep ourselves distant and whatnot from the guests, because we don't know where they came from, even though they may practice and all that stuff, just to make sure. So we can just make sure that we're straight, and then we don't pass nothing else on, because we're going to have to do that at least for another year. So 2022, we still going to be doing similar stuff, even with people being vaccinated. So we're going to have to do that just to make sure, because you don't want any surprises. At least not that type of surprise.
Yeah. You know what I should have did to even add some extra protection to myself? I should have wore a mask during this interview, during the show.
You already at home.
But you never know. I mean, I could have got something from off of this cushion here.
Man, who been kissing your cushion?
I'm just saying. Hey, it's WBS 87 FM Atlanta. We are at the top of the hour and few minutes into the second hour of the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. Sean Garvey, DJ Rollum. We just had Dr. Geoffrey Varner. If you're just tuning in, we just had Dr. Geoffrey Varner on the line. And we are still talking about the 3 C's, COVID, cancer, and chaos, how to survive the 3 C's. We're talking about all things considered, things happening in the medical world, in our daily lives as we are dealing with COVID as well as cancer, in which both of them hit very close to home to both me and DJ Rollum. And DJ Rollum just recently tested positive for COVID-19. He's been sick. That's why you haven't seen him in the past few weeks on our previous episodes, but we are happy to re-announce that he has officially survived COVID-19 and tested negative from COVID-19. So we're going to switch gears since we are in the second hour of the program and talk about cancer. King Rasa Yana is still hanging out with us. And for the first time on the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast, we have a guest on the line who is weighing in on the conversation while driving at the same time. We never had this. We had never seen this ever before in our lives.
Well,
Never.
it's special time, right?
Yeah.
I'm almost there. I'm gonna pull over and I'll finish. You know, I like to stay committed. That's what it's about.
Well, we appreciate that. Definitely staying committed like that, man. Hearing everything and all that stuff. So
yeah. I mean, we've been giving out information and commentary so far, which I feel like is very valid. Whether you agree or you disagree, it's just all about an exchange of ideas when we have these type of conversations and dialogue. But switching gears, and now we're on the topic of cancer. Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, we lost our very great friend, the queen herself, Cassandra Ford, better known as Signature Phrase, last year from stage 4 cancer. She went through a lot over the past few years dealing with it and battling with it. Now, on a celebrity level, over the past few weeks, we have witnessed and seen number of people in the celebrity world succumb to cancer as well as died to cancer. The first few people that come to my mind is Dustin Diamond, who we all know as Screech from Saved by the Bell. He died from cancer recently. And then whether you love him or hate him, Rush Limbaugh died from cancer. He actually was on a radio show. He does a syndicated radio show. If you knew of Rush Limbaugh, conservative talk show host, he had a radio show, and he on one of the shows that he did, I think it was maybe like last year or the year before last, I can't remember, but he went on the radio and announced to the world, to his listeners, that he was diagnosed with cancer. And just a few weeks ago, we got the news that Rush Limbaugh had succumbed to cancer, and he, of course, died from cancer. So, Rasiana, steam therapy, is it a solution to not only COVID-19, but also to cancer?
Yes. I'll tell you why. I mean, you got to understand something. There's a lot of things that are not released publicly yet. When you're on the cutting edge, or when something new becomes introduced, it's very unpopular at first, and all the professionals kind of jump on it, you know, because it's something that's not traditional. But what I'm learning is, I'm learning that oxygen, I keep going back to that word. Your body is made up of over 60% water, which is oxygen and hydrogen molecules. I wish the doctor would have stayed on, because I want to hit him with some of that science, because a lot of times people think when you're not a doctor, you don't understand science, or, you know, you're not intelligent enough to understand things. What I know is, all the people that I've dealt with that have been sick, including people who are cancer people right now, the reason why they tell people to go vegan and get off of meat is because of oxygenation in the blood. Meat doesn't produce oxygen. only plants. And so that's why when people are sick, you know, they push going from a meat-based diet into a plant-based diet. Really what they're saying is an electrical-based body. And just to explain to you what I mean, plants collect sunlight, which is it's UV. It collects it and it transfers into your body. He talked about the vitamin D deficiency.
Mhm.
And the reason why a lot of us, we're meat eaters, we're heavy meat eaters, especially us in the Black community, we're heavy meat eaters. I wish he would have went a little bit more into the blood and regarding why Black folks are having so much problems. And he should have alluded to diet. A lot of people, a lot of doctors, they don't really talk diet too much. They kind of stick with the meds because that's what they're taught. But for the people from the communities where we don't have the meds, how did we survive for millions of years, you know, in the jungles? You know, what did these people do? And when you begin to rewind the tape, you'll realize that many of the things that we did are now synthesized in the form of pharmaceutical drugs. Even this vaccine we're talking about, and what this vaccine does. And what it does, it stimulates a protein in the cell to make the cell create antibodies. But that's what food does. That's the job of food. I call it, I call something is called molecular nutrition. And what molecular tradition is what the vaccines is doing, but with food. But it takes time for you to do with food versus putting it directly into your bloodstream. The reason why I was I'm not a fan, I'm not gonna say I'm against, but I'm not a fan, is because when something goes into your body, the body has a natural way of nutrients and vitamins going into the body. We weren't developed with these holes in our skin for things to go in intravenously. All of our nutrition goes through our stomach. So we approach things quite a bit differently. And I mean, I would even love to have a doctor that I deal with, just to give you guys the full spectrum. I do deal with a lot of doctors, some conventional, some non-conventional. And one of the doctors I deal with, she's one of the leading doctors right now. Her name is Dr. Jenny Wilkins. I'd like to invite her so you can have both perspectives from a professional. I have very long conversations, and a lot of the stuff that I say, the doctors don't really disagree. They just don't really have the knowing. That might not be their specialty. Like you said, he's
Rasa, you breaking up there. We're having a little bit of some technical difficulties. Oh, okay. Can you repeat that one more time, Rasa?
Yeah, the last part.
Is that better?
Yeah, we can hear you better.
Yeah. A lot of doctors go off of what they were trained of. You have to understand that science is always expanding. So a lot of doctors who went to med school would have to go back, right, to be or be involved in reading the releases of the medical journals. I'm following quite a few doctors and professors and scientists and biologists, and that's kind of where I get a lot of my information. Not like theoretical, where you meet somebody that's into herbs and they're totally against science. I have a scientific mind, so I think I'm a little unique in a sense that not only do I understand what the plants are doing, I kind of understand why they synthesized the plants and made medications. There's only one thing that I really want to say that I think is going to really add some weight to everything that we're talking about, being that like you said, we deal with science based on what we know, not what we don't know and speculate. In terms of your health, the best way to introduce anything into the body is going to be through the digestive system. That's the way that you were designed. So when you take a vaccine, the vaccine goes right into your bloodstream. The issue that some people are having is it's such a shock to the body. The people that have the depleted vitamin D, the people that have all these depletions in their body, they have really, really bad reactions to it. Just like if you were to just catch the COVID naturally, whatever is going on with your body in terms of, I call it alkalinity. We're gonna say alkalinity meaning electrical. Whenever you're sick, I wish the doctor was still here, because I would love for him to hear some of these things, because he would be able to tell you, hey, yeah, that's true. when you're dealing with the body, most of us that have underlying problems, whether it be diabetes or high blood pressure, what that's indicative of is you're talking about blood, and you're talking about blood that is thick blood. Um, I learned that the reason why so many people, especially people of color, had these underlying issues is kind of why I'm at the forefront of diet. I'm more of a dietitian person in terms of teaching people how to eat and how to utilize nutrients in the body the most. Even with vitamins, like I don't take pill vitamins. I mean, the doctors that I deal with, everything should be in a liquid form. And the reason being, the word vitamin means vitaminus is a Latin word for the smallest liquid part. So when you take a vitamin that's a pill, it's in a hydrated form, which means when it goes into your dehydrated form, there's no water in it. There's no hydrogen and oxygen molecules. I'm just talking molecular science and what happens to the body and how you get the most what's known as absorption when you take a vitamin.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't talk about this because, again, it's not their area of expertise. A doctor that's an emergency room doctor is not a primary care. He's dealing with so many different people. He just has to kind of quickly consolidate things to get you going, to get you stabilized. But after that, you might want to follow up with a specialist. And then the specialist will usually come in and tell you, hey, you have these different deficiencies, which is going to make you a high probability to have these type of issues. And that's kind of what my strength is. That's what my strength is in terms of dealing with the botany part and having the knowledge of Merck and where they got their medicines from. Like that's a whole different conversation, where we could talk about where medicine once was always herbs and plant, and there was a switch. Why was there a switch? And versus the natural way versus the chemical way. What are the benefits? What are not the benefits? That would be a much more edifying conversation, because if you got a doctor that's 100% for the vaccines, he's closed off to hearing anything else, because that's what he's winning at. Versus someone else who, like Dr. Jenny, who is going to tell you to do intravenous vitamin C blast. She's going to give you intravenously, and she's also going to give you melatonin, and she's going to give you the vitamin D intravenously. So it's just different ways. It's just kind of different ways to super get that immune system up.
Yeah. But let me also say this too, because I hear stories about, or I have conversations with people about doctors and people in the medical field that don't really tell you what you need to hear, in order to survive or to live a longer life. Like you said, they just talk about what you need to do in the moment. But see, the importance of having you and Dr. Geoffrey on the line is we want to get two people on the platform that have been doing this for a long time. Apparently, you've been doing this for a long time, and Dr. Geoffrey has been doing it for X amount of years, working in the medical field, and you being a natural herbalist, and you specialize on a different level compared to Dr. Geoffrey. At the end of the day, all of us are going to still go to the hospital, are going to still go to seek some type of medical attention whenever we get contracted to a COVID-19, or we get cancer, or we want to go in and get some type of insight on what's going on with our bodies. I haven't been feeling well. I don't feel the same. At the end of the day, we're going to go seek a medical doctor. And I think it's just how we've been, I hate to use the word program, but we just been so, we've been taught, and I guess in the moment, I guess it's fair to say program. We just been engineered. That's a better term to use. We just been engineered to go seek a medical doctor because that's all we know. But at the same time, I don't see anything wrong with going to not only seek a medical doctor, but also go seek a herbalist. It might be some information that a herbalist can tell me that I won't be able to get from a medical doctor, or it might be some information that a medical doctor can inform me on that an herbalist may not be able to inform me on as well. So I think working with both professionals that have been doing this for quite some time can be very beneficial as opposed to going to one particular professional and not the other.
I agree with you. I only got a couple percent on my battery, but I wanted to say that
Okay.
I think, again, it really depends on where the individual is regarding their own personal health. I do agree that the where science is now is in a really good place in terms of diagnostics. I just think people have different approaches to different treatments, because I've dealt with people who had COVID and checked themselves out of the hospital and went
I can believe
home
that.
and I coached them and they up and living, and I had people who didn't and they succumbed. And it's a weird thing, because it was like, my main thing was I just did what I could do to help not only myself but a lot of people. I mean, if I could bring on the people that I've dealt with, I mean, people who couldn't breathe, people who are afraid, and it's just that, we don't think these things work. And I think that's where the biggest misconception is. Don't self-medicate. But what I'm saying is that to this day, I don't know any doctors that can jump up and tell you that they cured cancer. Not one of them is going to do it. Not one doctor is going to jump up and say he cured AIDS. Not one doctor is going to jump up and say he cured lupus, because he's a certified member of a society, a governing body, and they don't want to be held liable for saying they can cure people. It's just not, that's not the way that the medical profession works.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say treatments, but I have documented proof of different lab tests of people's cancers disappearing that's on record. So it really depends on, where you are in regards to your health. And if it's an emergency, most of us don't have the time that it takes to do natural. Most people ignore or don't even know that they're sick. And by the time they find out, they're in the third, fourth, stage. But what I do want to say is it needs more, because of the fact that all the money's in the research. A lot of people who have, like me, I've had tremendous success. I haven't had one call from any scientist saying, "Hey, man, we want to come in and talk and study and da-da-da-da." Nobody's going to do that. They're going to go and put the money into a vaccine versus what did this guy do, where hundreds of thousands of people over the world did this, and a lot of people who didn't do it succumbed. What is that? You know what I mean? Like, do the study on that. Somebody needs to do the study on that to find out what was it that helped. What was the reason? Because all I know is people got COVID and they didn't know what else to do. They told them to go home and self-quarantine. There was no vaccine. Now that there's a vaccine, everybody's kind of saying vaccine, vaccine. But prior to the vaccine, what were people doing? And I think that's pretty much, the nail on the coffin for me. I think there's a lot that's not known, or there's a lot more healing, a lot of simplistic healing out there for us. It's just that we don't know, or we don't think these things can work, so we don't do them. Even with the cancer. I got a lady right now, stage 4 cancer, that she had no energy. She's going to doctors. She's been to the best doctor. She's on radius chemo, and I gave her something simple, and that woman was up cleaning. So what is that? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of a weird, because it's like you don't want to be a target to jump up and say this works and this works and this doesn't work. I kind of like doing it with the doctors. If you notice, I don't like to be the opposing spectrum guy, because again, I wouldn't want to challenge his knowledge of being a doctor yet. There's a lot of things I'm talking about that he's never experienced. So it'd be unfair to him as well, because he's just going to go off of what he learned in the school. But yet, Granny was 110 years old and she never get no injections, never took no medications. What is that? This is what we ate. But there's no studies of these things. Nobody does take the time out to study these things. And that's why people like me, we don't really, some people don't take us serious. I mean, I'm glad that you guys do, but a lot of people don't take us serious because they think, oh, well, you ain't no doctor. What do you know?
Yeah. So once again, this is why we have the platform that we have to have these type of conversations. I feel like, and this is something that I wanted the doctor to hear while he was on. A lot of people right now are in total panic and chaos, which is, of course, the other C word in tonight's topic: cancer, COVID, and chaos. A lot of people feel like they are being misinformed and
Yeah.
lied to about this COVID-19 thing. Going back to COVID for a moment, a lot of people feel like they being lied to, especially from the higher up to the former president of the United States, telling people, oh, this will all go away by summertime. And then summer comes around, people are still getting sick, people are still dying, people are still catching COVID-19. Oh, okay, well, we'll give it a few months, the vaccine will be here, and then a few months later, the vaccine is not made yet, and a lot of people are still panicking. A lot of people are still dying. And then now, fast forward, the vaccine is here. Oh, I'm not getting the vaccine. I'm not getting it. So
Right.
it's just been total chaotic all around. But I would love to do a part two,
Yeah.
King Rasa, to have you
Yes.
and your people come on.
Yes.
Because we don't only just want to focus on COVID and cancer, even though those are the two leading things, in my personal opinion, that are killing off a lot of people, especially people in our community. But of course, people are still dying from other illnesses, whether it's lupus or whether even it's AIDS and HIV. We haven't been talking a whole lot about AIDS and HIV, especially in the pandemic, because our focus has only been on COVID-19.
Yep.
So I want to get you guys on and talk about it. And I still want to get Dr. Geoffrey back on the show to talk about these things, especially in the medical world. You know, people are still getting sick, people are still dying. But one thing before we let you go, regarding the dieting, I also believe too that lack of proper dieting is, to me, is more dangerous and is
Yes.
killing a lot of people that are putting the wrong kind of foods in their body and they're not taking care of themselves. And I share a story with DJ Roland as soon as we get off the line with you, because I had to change the way I saw myself eating. And there's certain things that I stopped eating years ago just because of the research that I have done on some of the foods that I was eating. I'm a Southern guy. I come from the South. So you know all about the South. We come from soul food. We come from eating lamb chops and pork rinds, and I can go on and on and on. And I know people, especially some people in my family, that have died from lack of diet, lack of proper dieting, people who have been sick from diabetes, and people who have just put the wrong things in their system, not just only foods, but also smoking as well. We
Yes.
haven't even talked about that. Also, we haven't gotten to smoking
Right.
cigarettes,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know. So yeah, so King Rasa, before we let you go, man, any last words you want to share with our listening audience
Yeah.
before we let you
Definitely.
go and bring you back on the next episode?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I want to say that, the body, again, what is the body? And it's trillions of cells, and we need to feed the cell. We need to re-educate ourselves about what we are. A lot of people eat for taste, and only people talk about the stomach, but those are only two components of digestion. So we just have to be re-educated on what healing is and how us as a species, how we're designed, right? And what is the best format to us receiving these nutrients in our body. And I have a website. It's rasayanalove.com. And what I do on this site, I consult with people one-on-one, just like how we do here, Zoom. And we talk about the medication. We talk about a lot of stuff. And I try to help get them on a healthy path with different herbs and different things like that. And I have a lot of indigenous teas. I have a tea right now that people been doing for the corona. It's been knocking the corona out left and right. I can't really broadcast it too much because I've been legally advised not to. But I have a bush right now, two bushes right now. One is called Vitamin C Blast, which is the moringa leaf. It's a plant that's very high in vitamin C naturally. And I have organic ginger mixed with it, and wild orange peels. So I have something with vitamin C and zinc and vitamin D in it in a natural form, in a tea form. So this is how I've been kind of helping out a lot of my followers beyond the steam therapy. I have stuff for high blood pressure. I have 2 teas right now. People from type 2 diabetes have already been to the doctor, and their diabetes almost been reversed, and the doctor can't believe it. What's going on with the pancreas? So it's a lot of things that we're doing that that are people are getting benefits. That's really the only thing I'm concerned about, is really people that are not well that can make simple changes in their lives to really get the most out of their wellness.
Yeah.
So Rasa Yana Love is where I've been sending everybody, and that's kind of how we've been helping people during this pandemic.
Wow. Yep. Rasayana.love. Yeah.
RasaYanaLove.com.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
And we'll make sure to plug it again towards the end of the podcast.
And y'all check it out. It's on there. And what I'm doing, honestly, I'm introducing America. The Black people of America have lost a lot of the knowledge of indigenous herbs, because a lot of this, you guys got brought over here. Many as slaves lost a lot of their medicines. I'm still connected to a tribe that's been dated back 10,000 years. So a lot of the things that I'm introducing, it's been working for thousands of years. It's just that nobody in America is familiar with it. So I'm very interested to see where it goes in the future. I think in the future, many of the things that I'm doing is going to be much more popular in America. Yeah. Right now, obviously, it's going to get buried under the hype of everything that's going on. But I think as things go past, there's much other things beyond COVID that people need help with every single day. You know what I mean? And I think that they need to be in touch with some people who can help them, teach them simple things that they can do to improve their wellness. Like that doesn't cost very much.
Absolutely. It's a mindset. It's basically a mindset. Nobody's not going to force you to want to change the way you eat or change the way you put or whatever you put in your system. It's a mindset. It starts with your mind, and then everything else will flow naturally. If you decide that you want to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again every single day, and you want to keep going back and forth to the doctor's office, paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on pills, or not being able to discipline yourself on making sure that you are getting the nutrients and the vitamins that you need in that body, if you're not taking those type of responsibilities into consideration, then you're looking at living a short-term lifestyle. So we just want people to be aware of that and keep that in mind. We're definitely going to do a part 2 to this series. And King Yana, we always appreciate you for coming on the morning show and blessing us with this information, man. We definitely like to have you and your people, your doctors, your list of doctors on the morning show podcast to go more in depth with all the multiple illnesses and viruses that are plaguing our community, and just even people in general outside of our community as well. Is other people from different nationalities that are dying and getting hit with these type of viruses and all these different kind of crazy things that are happening, man. So we really appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank y'all very much.
No problem.
Absolutely, man. All right, we'll be in touch. We'll bring you on the next episode, okay?
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys.
All right. And tell the queen I said hello.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. King Rasayana, right here on the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast, where we also use this particular platform to not only entertain, but to also educate and inform.
Man.
It's a lot to take in. I know, DJ Rollum, it's a lot to take in.
It's a lot to take in, but I want to we're still in the hour of talking about cancer.
Yeah.
And I guess we can add, even though it doesn't begin with a C, it's basically sicknesses. As most people have, known in the past, I would say, in the past 5 years, especially I'm thinking about 2016. 2016, we lost a lot of celebrities, a lot.
Right.
And
Yep.
And now, you know, over the years we've been losing some
A lot
folks that
more.
we may know and some other celebrities too. And they're dying too young. They're dying too young. And that's the thing, man. It's like I think about my grandmother, my father's mother, and she died in her like 81. And people are not even reaching to 70. You know, they're not even reaching to 60. They're not reaching to 50. Not even reaching to 40. You know, they're dying around your age, my age, and everything. And I'm like, what is going on? That's why I said the sicknesses. It ain't just cancers, other sicknesses. And what my thing is this: I'm not trying to get in their personal lives and whatnot, but I really would like to know what were they doing before they passed away? What did they go to the doctor, or did they do something to make sure that they're healthy?
Yeah.
You know, and some, you know, us men, you know, they put this on a lot of men. It doesn't matter what race or anything. Do we go to the doctor regularly? Do we have our normal checkups just to make sure that are we doing what we're supposed to be doing in order to live? You live for yourself, live for your family. If you're a parent, live for your kids and all that stuff. So that's the key thing.
You know what I think?
With all this stuff going on, man, it's just crazy. I mean, I really did get scared when I did had it, you know, the COVID.
Right.
But now I did get scared, but I'm like, okay, let me just relax. Let me not panic, because a lot of folks panic when things go wrong. I taught my son not to panic when things go wrong. He was a champ in dealing with and helping me. Was a huge champ. He done stuff he has never done before. Other key phrase: be aware of your surroundings. He saw what I've been doing for years. He handled it like a champ. That's the thing. So when you do your self taking care of yourself, you know, if something is wrong for a long period of time, you need to go and find out what's going on, because you know it ain't normal. So check it out. So all these sicknesses and these cancers and whatever else, man, is some of that stuff probably could have been prevented. Probably. Yeah. If you have done, you know, self-check yourself to make sure certain things. I love what he has said earlier about other ways to do stuff to heal yourself and everything. And I want to follow that.
Who is he? Are you talking about Dr. Geoffrey or Yana?
Yana, that's what I'm talking about.
Rasa Yana.
Rasa Yana. Definitely he is saying stuff that is, for one thing, he's saying that we didn't say, it's not money-based. That's the thing. If it's not money-based, they're not going to push it. So that's the thing. Anything that is not money-based, they're not going to push it, no matter what it is. No matter what it is. And the stuff that we are engineered to knowing of what the doctor said earlier in the podcast, that's what we're used to hearing from day one. When we have, depend on your beliefs when you're growing up, our parents take us to the doctor. Doctors tells the parents this. Parents tell us, all right, this is what your doctor said. This is what you got to do. That's the engineering. That's been like that for centuries, you know, from the doctors that, you know, way back, you know, whenever, you know. Yeah. That's what's been accustomed to us. But anything that is outside of the norm, as Rasa has said, people are like skeptical, like, should I don't know. I gotta do this and do that. And what do Black folks normally don't do? We don't read. We don't research and all that stuff. So we ain't gonna like, I don't know. My buddy didn't do it, so I ain't gonna do it. Just gonna go off about hearsay, and that's a trip by itself. Yeah. So that's what's going on with that, man. I think it's just, if you pay attention to your body and know that if something is wrong, find out, quickly instead of just letting it go on for months and years. Like, oh, it's been going on. No, let me go ahead and do this.
Right. Yeah, but I want to say something, and you said something just a few moments ago that was very important. We are seeing a lot of people in our age range and younger that are dying too young these days than ever before. We recently lost Cicely Tyson. She passed away in her 90s. We recently lost Hank Aaron. He passed away in his 80s. These are, we lost Sean Connery. We lost a few other people that have made it past 60, 70 years of age. You didn't hear stories back then a long time ago when they were in their 30s or 40s or 50s. You didn't hear them. You didn't hear the stories about this person died at age 50 and that person died at 40 and that person died at 30 long time ago. Only time you would hear a young person who died at 20 or 25 is a rapper.
Yeah. And not just being a rapper, is any common person. They usually shot, violence and whatnot. That's what causes their death and whatnot. It's not it's not just sicknesses. It's like anything under 30 is usually violence. Anything above 30 at times, not all the time, at times, is some type of sickness. I mean, I still remember my classmate, he didn't pass 35 because he had a sickness. I don't know what it was and whatnot, but and the thing about it, I remember he was playing football. And when you're an athlete, you're pretty much in good shape. So hopefully you will keep those same things that you normally do to keep yourself in shape back in high school. I ain't say keep 100 like you're going to still have a six-pack or anything like that, but watch what you do. But let's just say 20, you had your year or 2 years in college, 15 years later you're dead. I'm like, what happened? So
yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, it almost leaves you speechless. I sometimes think to myself, because of the number of younger people that are passing away. I'm only 37. DJ Rollum, you're a few years older than me, but you're still young. And I think to myself, like, damn, I'm almost knocking on 40. I want to live to see 101 years old.
Right. I want to be Cicely Tyson's age, man.
I want to be Betty White's age.
Yeah, right.
I want to be Betty White's age. Like,
yeah.
Betty White, what water have you been drinking?
yeah, 99 and whatnot. So that's the thing, man. It, like I said, you have to pay attention to your body. If you don't pay attention to your body, things are going to domino on you, because other things are going to happen. So you have to pay attention to your body and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the last C in tonight's topic, COVID, cancer, and chaos. I know we really haven't talked too much about the chaos aspect from both COVID and cancer. But this is where mental health comes into play. And the same year that our friend and sister Signature Phrase passed away is the same year that COVID happened.
Right.
And so dealing with COVID and also dealing with the loss and still dealing with the loss also of our friend Signature Phrase, who has been a big part of the Beat Break Radio movement for quite some time.
Right.
It can still be chaotic mentally, because in your mindset, your mind is running 90, 100 miles per hour, and you don't have that person with you to help you slow down. And and it's just so much stuff that's going through your mind right now. And I think the only thing we have to do as survivors, whether you are a survivor like DJ Rollum, whether you are a survivor of COVID-19, or if you are a survivor of some form of cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, stage 4, or what have you. If you're a survivor, pay it forward to other people. Pass whatever knowledge and wisdom you can to make sure that they are able to try to beat COVID or try to beat cancer, but also appreciate life.
Yes, that's the thing.
Appreciate life. I think that the older we get, we start to appreciate life, but we appreciate life even more once we become survivors of unfortunate circumstances that could have taken our lives out very early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing about it is what some young folks are doing, which is really, I mean, I heard this many years ago, back in the 90s, a lot, and I had a friend who used to think this way. They keep living for now. They're not living for the future. And once you get the mindset to live for the future, you have other things going on in your mind. But if you're living for now is basically deals with a lot of materialistic things. I want this now. I gotta have this, whatever materialistic thing it is, whatever the case may be. Instead of like, okay, what's my plan in order to have this particular item that I would like to have and whatnot. And hopefully it's not wasteful money, like having this jewelry or having this car and whatnot. Like I was a weekend, 2 weekends ago, I was Sean and I was somewhere, and I'm talking about my son now. For the folks listening, talking about Sean and my son, we were there and saw a Lamborghini. This guy was driving a Lamborghini. A Lamborghini is a popular car, but it's not like a car you see every day. And I got excited when I saw a Lamborghini when I was a kid, and Sean saw it, and you're like, yeah, that's a Lamborghini. It's an item that some folks would like to have. Okay, what is your plan getting it and whatnot? So my thing,
Right.
if you got something that you would like to have, make a plan for it. Don't say I got to steal or do whatever that is wrong to get it. Get your plan together. That's not living for now. That's living for the future. Because if you keep giving that mindset to say, I want these certain things, then that's not living for now. That's living for the future. And that includes your health. You got to keep that in mind of not saying whatever, I just take this pill and be done. No. We can't think that way. You got to know your body. You got to know the limitations of what your body can do as you get older.
Yeah. And you will. And for those that are younger than us, under the age of 20, whether you like it or not, you are going to get older. And as soon as you get older, your body is going to change. It may be some things that you're going to have to stop eating once you get a certain age. I'm already seeing myself every other day. Like I am getting better at what I'm eating and what I'm not eating. I can get better, but by that 38, 39 mark, knocking on wood, about to go 40, I'm like, okay, I got to put the lemon pepper wings down. I got to put the fried chicken down.
Right.
I got to put the burgers down. I stopped eating meat, actually. I still eat turkey and shrimp. I guess you consider that to some degree.
Some poultry and fish.
Some poultry and fish. Right. Yeah. So I'm not all the way vegan. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, that's fine.
Slowly but surely.
That's fine. Here's the thing, though, and I learned, and my brother's been a big teacher on this. My brother and my older brother, he basically said, all right, when you get to this next set of decade, like when he was 40 and I was in my early 30s, all right, this is what's going to happen, man. You got to slow down. You can't eat all this like you just said. All right. Now, as my son, Sean, gets on me, I'm a few years from being 50 and whatnot. And once the kid said, Dad, all right, I'm going to get you a cane for your 50th birthday.
But a cane? What, a candy cane? What?
But you got to slow down. You can't, like you said, you can't eat the lemon pepper wings and stuff like that. Now, do I still eat certain things? Yes, I'm just not eating them as much, because when you keep eating those type of foods and stuff as you're getting older, it's going to hurt you in the long run. So as long as you don't eat a lot of it, you slow down with it. If you want to eliminate it, that's on you and whatnot, but you slow down with it. Like, okay, give you an example. Some folks love pork chops. They love pork chops. I ain't had a pork chop in probably a year. I think the last time I had one sometime early last year around my birthday, or back in 19. That's how often I eat pork chop. You just gotta watch what you eat. You know, watch
pork chops, man.
Yeah, you just gotta watch what you eat. You can't just jump on it. And then if like some of these fast food places, what they do is show the calorie intake. Do you want to have the best thing to do is always trying to be under 2,000 calories is really the recommendation and whatnot. So if you eat a whole Whopper with cheese and the largest Coke and fries, that's over 1,000 calories right there. So do you want to have that, and then knowing that you got whatever else you eat that day, it has to be under 1,000, because you know it's over 1,000 what you eat with that meal. And then and then you gotta what's the calorie intake with this and that, so I won't go over 2,000. Nah, you know you're gonna go over 2,000 because you just messed up with that one meal. You have to know how much you eat in order to kind of stick with your recommendation of under 2,000 calories. And I even lost weight because of the COVID and whatnot. And I try to make, and I don't eat a lot. I can't eat a lot because my stomach is saying it's full. So if your stomach is saying it's full, don't try to keep putting food in it. So like, well, my dad told me, or mom told me to make sure I clean my plate. Nah, that was wrong. That's what we were engineered back in the day. Yeah. So if you're full and you still got a lot of food, either wrap it up, eat it the next day, or depending on what it is, you may even eat it later that day, or just wrap it up or throw it away. What are those three things? Eat it later that day, depending on what it is, wrap it up either the next day or throw it away. So you got to listen to your body. That includes everything, not just if my head hurts or my arm hurts or my chest hurts, everything. If your stomach is full, don't force it. Let it be.
Yep. You are what you eat at the end of the day.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
Man. Yeah, man. Oh, so this has been a very great podcast podcast episode of the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. Want to say thanks to Dr. Geoffrey Mount Varner for joining with us to give his insight and advice on COVID, cancer, and the chaos topic of discussion. Once again, if you didn't catch the website information, here it is. It is drgeoffrey.info/crisis kit. That's drgeoffrey.info/crisis kit. And want to say thank you to Rasa Yana for also being a part of this morning's episode of the podcast. RasaYanaLove.com is the website as well. You can go visit him on the website too. RasaYanaLove.com, and it's spelled RasaYana love, LOVE.com. So hope you had your pen and your paper and took down some very great notes and information that you can pass on to others and can use it to help benefit your lifestyle and move better and to get better, especially in these crazy times. So that's what it is. We're going to bring both gentlemen back on the morning show in the near future. I'm excited about the next podcast episode that we are going to do. I'm just going to give people a sneak peek, a sneak preview of the next podcast episode before we get up out of here for the DJ Rollin' Mix. It is dealing with cancel culture. That's all I'm going to say about that. Cancel culture.
Another double C, man.
Yeah.
Another double C.
We covered COVID, we covered cancer, we covered chaos. Now we got to cover cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
Man, all these C's, boy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. with
Yep.
with
And
another
there
C.
you
It's
go.
crazy.
To C, another C. It's crazy.
Man, we need to start talking about more of the C word.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Well, what am I talking about? I don't.
I'll let you say it first. I'm gonna let you say it first, just
I'm
to make
thinking
sure
of cash.
it's on the same level.
I'm thinking about cash.
Oh, I'm thinking about something else.
What do you think? Whoa, oh. That's why we gotta bring back. That's why we gotta bring back the bedroom hour.
Yeah, exactly.
For those that don't know, your first time to Beat Break Radio and the Beat Break Morning Show, we got to take it all the way back to the bedroom hour. And speaking of which, we got the throwback hangover in just a few moments right after the DJ Roland mix, the caffeine and energy drink mix coming up right after these messages. But DJ Roland, what you got coming up in the mix, man? You got a special dedication coming up.
Man, we, like I said earlier, we keep losing these celebrities, man. And Prince Marky D, man. I mean, God, dog, man.
Boys,
man, whew, God. So we only got one fat boy left. Just one left.
Actually, it was two. It was two that died, and we only have one left.
One left, yes.
And he's not even fat anymore.
No. Actually, he was the first one to actually lose the weight first.
Wow.
That tells you something.
Wow. Now I wish we had Dr. Geoffrey and Rasa Yana still staying on the line with us as we're talking about it.
Yep. This is all, like you said, the key phrase you said is all we are what we eat, and about what you do with your lifestyle. You know, when I can't remember his name, the rapper, the other one that's still alive from the Fat Boy. He changed what he did. He changed his eating style, you know, and the first one that passed away, the beatbox dude, he was already large anyway. So it was a time clock for him. So he was, had to change and whatnot. And he was the first one. I think he died in sometime in the 90s. I think he has one child.
Yeah, he died 25 years ago.
Oh yeah. I know it was in the 90s. Yeah. So and I think he got one child and whatnot. And I'm like, I wasn't surprised and whatnot. And
Darren Robinson. Better know it's Buffy.
Oh, Buffy. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. I'm like, and then they opened the doors for heavy rappers to come out.
Oh, I'm sorry, Buff Love, by the way. Buff Love. Some
okay.
people refer to him as Buffy, but he went by Buff Love. Darren
okay.
Buff Love Robinson. The person who's still remaining to this very day is Kool Rock-Ski.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I was saying that he led the Fat Boys led to other overweight rappers to come out. I mean, the next one that was big with being a big guy was Heavy D.
Heavy D.
Yeah. He I mean, he had height on him though, but he was a big guy. And then the next one that I can think of course, everybody know this, is
the Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah. I mean,
oh.
Man, that trend and everything of it's not saying that everybody has to be the same size. I'm not saying that because me and Sean Garvey definitely are not the same size. I'm a big guy.
No, we're definitely not. Far from it.
Yeah, and you see our pictures and whatnot, and that's just us and whatnot. I'm just saying you can just watch what you put in your mouth. It's like put on a condom. You just can't do anybody and whatnot. Watch what you put in your mouth.
Emphasis on watch what you put in your mouth. I just love how we transitioned that. We went from talking about the memory of Prince Marky D to watch what you put in your mouth. Tell you, this is the ADHD part of the Beat Break Morning Show.
Yeah.
You ready to go into the caffeine and energy drink mix with DJ Roland. But rest in peace to Prince Marky D of the Fat Boys, man. I think after I get done with this podcast, I'm gonna watch more Crush Groove.
Okay,
I think I'm gonna
that's
do
what's
that.
up. That's
Yeah,
what's
man.
up.
Got to continue to pay homage to the pioneers of hip hop. But yeah, you should do a Fat Boy mix next time, DJ Roland. You should throw some Biggie in there, Heavy D, Rick Ross, Big Pun in there.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I think okay. I'll work on that. I'll work on that.
Call it the Big Boy mix.
The Big Boy mix. Yeah. Or the Bigums mix.
The Bigums. Hey, whatever floats your boat. You know, the Bigums mix. How about that?
Because anybody who's big is gonna be in that mix.
Yeah. So the Bigums mix. You know, throw in some Lizzo in there too. How about that?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we gotta put some estrogen in that. We gotta put some estrogen in that.
Yeah.
Into that testosterone mix.
Yeah.
Can't just be all guys.
Right.
Throw some estrogen in there, man.
Right.
But we got the dedication mix to Prince Marky D and the Fat Boys coming up on the Beat Break Morning Show, and we also have the Throwback Hangover. We have time, and you know we got some more coming up right here on Beat Break 87 FM in Atlanta. We got some great programming on Beat Break 87 FM after our morning show podcast. But you can also listen to us on thinkingoutloudnetwork.com. You can check us out on thinkingoutloudnetwork.com, and you can catch us on demand, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, wherever you get your app from, anchor.fm, and many more. Don't forget to subscribe to at Beat Break Radio to check out our videos. All right, it's the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. Shout out to Diamond Love who couldn't make it, but shout out to you all for tuning in and tuning us in always each and every Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. And tuning in and tapping in with us. I was trying to say tap in. That's what everybody's been saying nowadays. That's new. Tap in. Tap in. All right, let me go ahead and tap out. It's the Beat Break Morning Show. Sean Garvey ATL, Twitter, Instagram, Sean Garvey on Facebook, DJ Roland.
All right, always at DJ Roland on Instagram, Twitter, and DJ Roland Townsend on Facebook.
All right, stay tuned. DJ Roland Mix coming up right here on the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast.